Hello sweet toothies, today we will embark on a journey to uncover the science behind baking and understand the complexity of the delicacy we cherish. Now who in the world doesn't like dessert? It can be anything from cakes to pie, tart, cookies, brownies, many thousand of options available in the store near you, and it's the one thing that most people enjoy it undoubtedly even though it has high amount of sugar. Baking has always been synonym with the art and aesthetic. The intricate designs and vivid colors make it eye-catching and stimulate our sensory to trigger appetite. Yet the flavor and aroma is due to the chemistry of ingredients when combined in respective order. So today we will try to cover all the basic ingredients used in baking and how it works with each other to give structure and texture to baked items. Starting with the primary ingredient, all-purpose flour high in starch and contain two primary proteins, glutenin and gliadin. When using for cakes and cupcakes, flour with low protein is recommended as opposed to in bread flour with high protein. During bread making, proteins when mixed with water form gluten, a chain of proteins, and are responsible for elasticity and extensibility of the dough. But this property is not needed in cakes, so overmixing of batter is never a good thing. Hence cake flour is mostly used in cakes due to low gluten. Also, flour is used primarily for structure to hold the wet ingredients and stabilize it. Second ingredient, eggs. They contribute structure and serve as a means for incorporating air into the batter, also adding moisture to baked goods. Sometimes they can be used as glue or glaze. Parts of egg have different roles and we shall see how it affects baking items. Egg yolk is typically used for the fat content and emulsifying abilities. It binds liquid and fat together to prevent from separating and giving baked items a rich flavor and velvety texture. And egg whites are used as a foam when whipped. It helps incorporate air bubbles within and gives rise to the batter like in sponge and chiffon cake. Whipped egg whites also make meringue or souffle, and to make it more stable we can add any acidic elements. So next time when you want to add eggs, remember their properties. Next is fat, and we have a lot of variety like butter, vegetable oil, shortening and margarine. You can use any depending on the recipe, but why do we need it in baking? Fats are derived from both animal and plant source. Fats help shorten the gluten strands in flour and prevent baked goods from being stretchy and give a nice tenderizing texture. When sugar and fat are creamed together, it helps incorporate air pockets and leads to airy and soft cake. Some fats have good plasticity, that is, it remains workable in different temperature. Any fat that can be worked between temp of 4 to 32 Celsius is termed as excellent fat. Fat acts as lubricant and makes it easier to handle dough. They also increase the shelf life by delaying staling. And the ingredient, sugar, which everyone thinks is only for sweetness. Yes, it is true, but it also has some other uses as it facilitates incorporation of air into the fat. Finer the sugar crystals, the more the air cells and gives spongy texture to cake. In bread making, sugar is food for the yeast, gives a darker color to crust. And moisture retention is improved due to the hygroscopic property of sugar. That is, sugar absorbs water so it locks in moisture and prevent baked goods from drying. Liquids such as milk or water is used depending on what the recipe is. Usually milk products are preferred for yellow or butter cakes and water for chocolate butter cakes. With hydration, any chemical changes that result in final development of product takes place. Water, when vaporizes during baking, the steam expands the air cell, thereby giving volume to the final product. Sodium bicarbonate, known as baking soda, a white powder and basic in nature. It reacts with acidic ingredients, and this reaction produces CO2 that cause the rise in cakes and other baked items. Baking powder is a mixture of baking soda and a dry acid. And it is also widely used as leavening agent in baked item. It creates carbon dioxide bubble when in contact with moisture and increases the volume and lighten the texture. And it cannot be interchanged with baking soda and must always use the right leavener as per the recipe. And the last ingredient is salt. Most people miss out and think it isn't important, but using salt accentuate the flavor, and without it cake would have a flat taste. In some cases though you don't need to add salt if there is salted butter in the recipe or any other exception. But most bakers do swear by the usage of salt even if it's a tiny amount. So next time you bake, don't forget to add that pinch of salt. And with that said, this is the end of how basic ingredients play a role in baking and making your baked items go yummy or not so yummy. In fact, there is a lot to understand and go into depth, but for today I am gonna stop here. Thanks for watching and stay tuned for more random topics.